So, like, obviously, you're still a full-time football player. How do you manage to kind of juggle time with being a footballer and being a musician?
And a dad.
And a dad as well.
There's not enough hours in a day. It's, you know, it's fine because I've said you don't work long hours in football, but what is difficult is committing to stuff.
Right.
And committing to gigs has been really difficult because Friday nights are off because the gaffer just wouldn't have it. You know, you can't be bouncing about a stage, and the gaffer. Well, I don't think any gaffer would be particularly happy with a sort of player on a stage singing away on a Friday night. So that's off, and then obviously if you've got an away game on a Saturday, Aberdeen, to get down to Glasgow for 8 o'clock for a gig is virtually impossible. So the football dictates that, you know, it's a sort of, I have to pick and choose the gigs at the minute, which is a bit crap really, to be honest with you. I'd love to be doing more of them because it's the only way to get the, you know, the music out there and let the public hear it. So, but hopefully this year, you know, we're going to be doing wee tours, and we're going to sort of sit down, get a structured plan, and really try and, you know, make it more sort of, you know, just make it more realistic to do as opposed to waiting everything just happening. We're going to try and sit down, get a structure, and really go for it.
So there's definitely got the plan ready to go. What was I going to say? What's my true thought there?
That's because I was just blabbing on.
Oh, yeah, it's fine, honestly.
We'll go by some time.
Back to like, the football, the boys in the dressing room, what they like being a musician and stuff like that.
They've been great. I mean, initially a lot of the furore with the album was with St Johnstone. So the boys up there, they were fantastic. They came to the gig at King Tut's, they were at the front of the queue haranguing me all night, and it was just great banter, and they made for a great atmosphere. I've not had the chance to get the boys at Dunfermline along to a gig yet, so that's the next that's the next one. Get them along to a gig, and you know, we'll let our hair down. We'll get a couple of pints. Hopefully, maybe, you know, if it's an international weekend, we've got a wee weekend off with no game, and we can take advantage of that, and the boys can, you know, make their opinions of me as a musician, which I'm sure will be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know, I remembered what I was thinking of earlier. See, when you like pre-season, do you get a chance to do more music through the pre-season, or do you have to still train?
Less.
Less?
July, especially, you know, the close season is fine, you know, when you're totally off, but when we come back, say the end of June for pre-season training, it's really difficult to get any time because you're sort of doing double, you know, sometimes treble sessions, and your games are sort of Tuesday, Saturday, so to be able to commit any sort of time, I still pick up the guitar every night, obviously as a wee release. It's very therapeutic, I find it, so I mean that's great, but in terms of, you know, getting into the studio, recording, gigging, it's just a write off in July for me.
That's great. I've noticed, I think it was a few months ago on Facebook, and they posted a wee video up, and it was Simon Lynch, ex-Preston Dundee midfielder. Yep. He's kind of doing a similar thing. What do you kind of make of it?
I mean, I've heard it briefly. I'm going to be honest, I've not heard the full thing, the full binner, if you like. But I liked it, and it's coming more and more common. It's becoming more and more common because it is easy to get yourself out there. Yeah. Jim O'Brien's another one in Scotland.
Has he?
Played Motherwell. He played at the PFA Player of the Year Awards 1 year, and he was tremendous. You know, so there is loads. I mean, that's 3 guys there, you know, but there's loads of talent in Scotland, and if anybody takes any time at all to sort of go about the pubs and clubs and see these acts, they'll realise that there's an untapped source in Scotland, and it's fantastic, like, that we've got that, and hopefully, you know, we can maybe in Glasgow get something like the Fringe at the minute, which is on in Edinburgh, because we've got the talent here to do it.
Without a doubt. Can I have more chat with Kevin just before the news? What would you say, Kevin, of the acts in Scotland, kind of ones stand out for you just now, kind of up and coming, unsigned acts?
One of the first bands I played with was in an Ox Jam festival, and this was my very first gig actually, and it was 4 years ago. They were called Days of Days, we're a Perth-based band, but they've just released their new album, and it's fantastic. They've obviously matured, come on leaps and bounds, and the album's fantastic. So you get that on iTunes as well. Days of Days is the name of the band. Go on, have a nosy, you know, listen to the wee sort of clips you get. It's sort of electro indie, right. And if you're into that, you know, it will definitely be up your street. They are making a wee dent, you know, they've made a few waves, so hopefully things will take off for them.
Right, well, obviously I kind of focus on the kind of Glasgow bands, the bands that I haven't actually heard of them, but I'm definitely going to go home tonight. I'll have a look and see what
worth a nosy, definitely.
Without a doubt. So, we've Kevin still in the studio, just a couple more questions for him. Kevin, what would you say your kind of best gig you've played so far as a musician would be?
I've got 2. I'll run through them quickly. The first one was King Tut's, because as a boy from Glasgow, growing up in Glasgow, and then when I got into the music scene, always heard the King Tut's. it's notorious, you know, it's held some big bands, massive bands. Oasis got their start there. That's, you know, it's a fable. So that was a real sort of moment of, you know, pride for me. But the biggest gig, the most daunting gig, it wasn't a lot. I mean, it wasn't that most people have played in front of, but there was about 300-400 there, and it was at Kilmarnock Palace Theatre just in February. I supported Mature, and it was fantastic, and it was just to be there beside him, who's you know, a lot of the kids might not know him, but he's an absolute musical legend.
Definitely.
He would have played a big part in Band Aid and everything like that with Bob Geldof, and he's the guy who sort of took the back seat and stepped away from the publicity, if you like, and Bob Geldof stood into it. But he played a massive role, and just to be beside him was phenomenal. Of
course, he's Scottish as well, so that's
he's Scottish as well, and you know, so I'm trying to continue the trend.
Well, you've played the mid-year, leading on to that. Who would you say the most likely act you'd want to play with now? Now,
you know, I would stay loyal to my roots. You know, I would definitely say Pillow and Teenies. Yeah, up there. I'd love to get a concert with every, you know, like Katie Tunstall, Sandy Tall, Pillow and Teenie. Get us all up there. I would be up for it. So let's hope they would be. But if I had one guy to pick, it would be Ray LaMontagne, because, you know, that's a personal favourite of mine and someone I really look up to.
So that sounds very good. Probably not much more to kind of cover tonight, but so do you want to just tell us a bit more about the competition you were wanting on?
Yeah, there's a new album that's going to start recording next week. You know, we've got a few songs, we've got about 14 songs on there. So the competition is, you know, it's in the City magazine next week in Glasgow, but you could enter either contacting myself via Facebook or yourself. And the competition is you could win a night in the studio with myself recording a song, and if you play guitar or you can sing or any instrument, you know, we'll get that involved, and you'll be part of a single which will be released, and it'll be played, you know, I'm sure it'll be played here, and hopefully it'll be played here, but I'm sure it will be played in some of the national radio stations as well. So if you're a budding musician, get your name in, and as I say, the worst that will come out is you'll have a right good night.
I know there's definitely a lot of kind of girls and boys in Ayrshire who are singers, maybe don't know what they're doing in the music scene. They could maybe just do with that wee edge. It sounds like definitely the opportunity for them.
Yep, and as I say, we'd work round them. You know, I'm at the studio quite a lot when we're recording albums, so it wouldn't be a set night. You know, we'd work out a date that suits everybody, and as I say, it's a great experience. And if you've never been in a studio, it's brilliant. You know, so get your name in.
Well, just finally then, so where can we find your music? Where can we find out more about you if you want to go on the internet and say later?
For anybody that's, first and foremost, look up Dunfermline, get the spelling of my name. That will make things a lot easier for you. Onto Facebook, I've got a music page as well as my own personal page. So if you add me on, you know, you can soon add the music page. It's got a couple of songs on it. I've got a MySpace, obviously, Kevin Rutkiewicz, myspace.com. If that impresses you enough that you want to sort of invest in the full album, you can get that off from iTunes, as I've said earlier, with every single, obviously. So that's the only place at the minute. Other than that, just don't be afraid. Contact myself. You know, I'm quite an approachable guy, and you know, I'm sure we could sort something out.
Excellent. Well, that's what we've got really. Remember, you've got a single, it's got Time and Tin. You've got the album, it's handwritten, as Kevin says. It's on iTunes. If you want to get that, head over there now. And we're going to play another wee track. And before Kevin goes, just want to say bye to the listeners.
Yep. Thanks very much for having me.
Been a pleasure. Cheers. Thanks. Here is the Dead Sea Souls and Cage Fighter.